All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
All right, that's great. So today we are going to continue with empathy in UX design. And what we're going to do now is understand what to do with the information that you now have. As I said, at this point, you cannot say it's evidence-based. It's more like, there are different levels of evidence, right? It's, like there is, what do you call this? Basically, this is not, it's not a very formal evidence, but you've gotten some information from your markets. In this particular project, we are not going to do it formally. It's more like an informal kind of evidence, right? But you do have some evidence, but it's really not enough evidence for somebody to, invest $1 million in the project. Do you understand? However, we are still going to go on to understand what to do with this evidence that you now have. But in the next project, we're going to do it a bit more formally, where someone is now going to say, okay, I now have enough evidence to make some investments and do this. Right. So the reason why you did all these interviews and spoke to your users and all of that is to be able to empathize with them, right? So for that reason, we are going to I'm going to introduce you to some tools that is going to help you empathize graphically with the users that you're serving. So we're going to talk about empathy maps. You're going to draw empathy maps for your users. Then you're going to construct user personas. Then you're going to write user stories, a user journey map, and then you're going to consider accessibility in your design. Then you're going to go to the define aspects, because now you've understood the problem. Now you want to define the problem. So we're going to talk about the problem statements, the hypothesis statements, and then we're going to learn how to come up with a value proposition. Right, so first, the empathy map. Right, so an empathy map is like a graphical representation of your user. It helps you understand what your user is, basically who your user is. It's going to help you kind of graphically picture the things that your user says, the things that they think about, the things that they do, the things that they feel. And apart from you, is going to also help any other stakeholders that is going to work with you on this thing to actually understand who your user is. So it's with the empathy map that you can give it to somebody that is working with you, for instance, and the person will be like, okay, I think I understand this. I think I, can understand where, this problem is coming from. And then they will be able to work on it with you. So if, for instance, you need to talk to stakeholders, talk to investors about your user, right? Empathy maps is what will help somebody else who is looking at your user, or who wants to understand your user, to look at it and have a graphical representation of who your user is. And of course, it also helps you as well, because it helps remind you what you are working for, remind you who you are working for, and where to focus your resources on. So this is what essentially an empathy map looks like. So again, your user is in the center. UX design is putting your user front and center of any design you make. So you are going to talk about who you are empathizing with. So who is the person that we want to understand? What is the situation they are in, and what is their role in the situation? They are going to talk about, basically this is their goal, right? And then you're going to talk about what they need to do. What is it that they need to do? What they need to do differently, what jobs do they, basically this is what, like, the graph is like a canvas, and this is what it looks like. They are going to talk about what they see, right? So what do they see in the marketplace? These are like your competition products, like other ways, that they can solve the problem. So for instance, the person who is talking about a gym body, your users are seeing that there are apps on their phone or on other people's phone that other people are using, like a Nike app or an Adidas app or some workout app, right? They're also seeing television programs where people are trying to help them do exercise and all of that. And basically what they see in their immediate environments, they are seeing other people working out, right? And they wonder if they can join those people to work out. And what are they saying and doing? What are they watching and reading, right? So you need to, your empathy map will help you picture all of this. So what do they say, right? What have you heard them say? And this is part of the things that, in the interviews, you can take literal scripts of what they have told you in the interview. Of course, that is relevant to the problem you're trying to solve. So what have you heard them say? And what can we imagine them saying? Like, now that you understand the user, even the things that he has not said yet, you can imagine him saying this because you understand him enough, right? And then what do they do, right? So what are they doing today in order to try to solve their problem? What behavior have you observed, and what can you imagine them doing? What do they hear? So what are they hearing others saying? What are they hearing from their friends, even from their enemies, right? If it's working out, people are saying, you have added weight, so, your belly is coming out and all of that. These are things that they hear. And what are they hearing from their colleagues? There are doctors, for instance, that are saying that when they are fat like this, so they will get hypertension. Basically, they get things that they hear from everywhere. And then inside of their head, what are they thinking and what are they feeling? So, what are their fears? Like, if they start this thing, some people say that when you start running too much, you start getting ankle pain, right? Or frustrations, like maybe they want to run but they don't have boots, or they don't have apps, like you said, like they don't have gym buddies. These are also frustrations. Gains. So what are their wants? What are their needs? What are their hopes and what are their dreams? So I'll show you an example of an empathy map that we built for a product that we are working on at Wella Health. So this is an empathy map that we built for a pharmacy benefits management company, right? So this user is Stella. Of course, Stella is a random name; it's not exactly the person's name. And mind you, you've interviewed a couple of users, right? But you are using a Stella is a representative of the users that we've talked to. Because as I said, you are talking to a couple of users. You are talking to, like, say, you've talked to, like, say, 10, 15 people. And at some point, they start saying the same things. They start having the same issue because they are users of the same group, right? If you bring a bunch of mothers, they are going to have concerns that are very closely related, especially when you're talking of the same problems, right? So there are things that you can bring an archetype, a representative imaginary person whose problem is going to mirror the problem of every mother, right? So this is what a persona is, but this is an empathy map. So this is what Stella says. I feel like we have a new staff, or we have new staff who are learning the ropes. Okay, so I don't know if I'm going. Let me introduce the problem a bit. So, well, we noticed that we've been having some. Okay. Just Wella Health wants to increase the number of companies that is subscribed to its products, right? But in order to do this, we need to understand why. We need to understand the problems of the people that are signed up with us already, and how we can improve, their experience. Apart from that, we also need to understand the problem of people that are in the market that are not yet signed up to us, the problems they are having while they are using, whatever product it is they are using, right? So after doing that interview, with I think we interviewed about 15, different professionals. we started getting things like, I feel you have new staff. Basically, um, they feel that whenever they make a call, they have new staff who, do not understand the assignment that they need to do, right? And that's the frustration for them, right? And then they say things like, provide feedback even when medication is not available so that we can make other plans, right? So they feel that, there is this communication barrier where if somebody asks you if you have something, and then if you don't have it, or if you are unable to solve that person's problem at that time, you don't get back to them until you solve that problem. So from them, they are saying that is a frustration for them, because they want to get feedback even when you are unable to solve that problem, so that they can know if to make alternative plans. Yes. So that's what they are saying. Now, what are they thinking? They are saying we cannot continue running losses and losing customers, because they are also a business. And if they don't solve their problems, they stand the risk of running losses and losing customers. And then they also have this thing they are thinking. I hate it when I receive calls, that an enrollee has not gotten their medication. So it is a frustration for them. And then what are the things that they do, right? If I don't get feedback, I just have to go elsewhere. Or they call other pharmacies to compare prices. So when you give them a price and they feel that this price is not good, or even if they feel that the price is good, they'll still call other pharmacies to confirm the prices that you gave them. So what this helps us to do is, we know that if whatever price we give these people, they are going to still call other people. So eventually we just have to give them the best price that we can give them, right? Because whatever price we give them, they have that behavior of calling other people to find out what the price is. Do you understand? So what are they feeling, right? So they feel anxiety whenever an enrollee has not gotten their medication, and then they feel frustrated whenever they are left out, or whenever they're left without feedback on the order. So even if you've delivered the order, you've not delivered the order, they always want feedback, because they leave off feedback. They make plans based on the feedback you give them. And if you don't give them that feedback, they cannot make plans. If they cannot make plans, they cannot do their job well. If they don't do their job well, they will lose their job. So it's a big problem for them. Now, user personas are basically, I think I've just talked about it now, but they are fictional characters whose goals and characteristics represent the need of larger group of users, right? So now that you've interviewed 6 different users, right? You're not going to kind of represent 6 different people. No, there are problems that they share together. There are concerns that they share together. There are behaviors that they share together. And you are going to kind of aggregate all of those problems, all of those behaviors and all of that, and use it to craft a fictional character who represents most of your users, right? That is a user persona. Of course, you can have different user personas for the same product. So for example, it's hard to really, last time we talked about building a product for, people that are in Makoko and people that are in Banana Island, right? If you are building a solar technology for them, a solar solution for them, it's a whole different kind of user group. The way somebody living in Banana Island is going to use solar technology is different from the way somebody living in Makoko is going to use solar technology, right? So for these 2 groups, you have to create different user personas. So one of your user personas is going to be that, big, multi-millionaire who lives in Banana Island and needs solar technology to fill up his whole roof and, charge his electric car, right? And then you're going to have another different user persona who is that Makoko person who just needs to light his bulb so that his children can read and be able to pass their exams in primary school, right? So these are different user personas with different needs, right? So it's hard to find one character that is going to kind of have both their problems, because these 2 people cannot share the same, they don't even exist in the same universe, you get? So if you are building a product that and you're building it for a wide, this is one of the reasons why you have to have a target user or a target market, because if you don't have a target market, you may find yourself in a situation where your user personas are too many, to keep track of, right? But of course, again, you can have multiple user personas. Like for the person who was building or was building something in education, right? They want to fix online education. One of your user personas could be the teacher. So a teacher could represent the educators. That's one user persona. You can now have another user persona that is going to represent the students, because again, these two people, they don't share the same experience. They don't share anything really, they are customer. This one is a customer and one is a user. So you need to build two user personas for the two different sets of people, right? So user personas are created by conducting user research, identifying a common pain or common pain points. Yeah. So you have to look for the most common themes in your data and group users who personify those themes together. You can explore a variety of customizable templates, but I've provided one for you that you can use. You saw that you can use and you can personalize to whatever you want. You can use. In fact, in our class, they are going to do illustrations, so you can basically try your hand on that as well. Of course, you can see that this is a very simple thing. You can design it yourself if you're not Figma. So this is the user persona we like for the Stella that you saw, in the last slide. This is a user persona that we created for her. So Stella is a 28-year-old pharmacist who is a pharmacy benefits manager, right? So what is she thinking, right? Let me go back to show you so that you can see. So this is what the templates we're working on. This is the template we're working on. So here we have the image of Stella. Then we're going to talk about her age, education, of course, the things that are important for the particular thing we are doing, right? Because Stella's hometown doesn't really have any, effect on the particular thing we are trying to study. So you take the things that you are studying for, and then you like this bio data is going to contain the things. So for instance, the person that was building a product for people that are living in the rural area, it would be important to talk about their hometown because that's where they are living, right? And if my hometown is Lagos, is the solutions or the way my life is will be different from if my hometown was somewhere in a remote area, so these are things that we'll also consider. So for this, my user now, Stella, I don't need to talk about her hometown because it's not really relevant to this, to what we are doing, And I don't need to talk about whether she has a family or not. Maybe it's important, but in the grand scheme of things, but not really. Sorry. All right. So all right, so you can see the quote Stella has in her head, right? We can't continue to accommodate losses and lose customers. Now, Stella is an employee in a in an HMO, in a health management organization or health maintenance organization. So they've given her a target that we cannot continue to accommodate losses and lose customers. So her goal is to reduce the cost of pharmacy benefits because it's part of her KPI. It's part of our key performance indicators in our job. And then another of our goals is to improve customer satisfaction because the more customers are satisfied, the better, the points for her. And then she also wants to get recognized and promoted, right? This is part of her goals in life, right? She wants to, get promotion, get better pay. And in order to do this, she needs to make things work. Do you understand how this works? So you need to consider the personal goals of the user. Because if you have a problem that is going to help them achieve, if you have a solution that is going to help them achieve those personal goals, then you have a winner, right? So that's why you need to understand what their personal goals are. So part of Stella's personal goals is to get promoted, to get recognized, right? So in your solution, if you can find something that is going to help her achieve this goal, you can see getting promoted and getting recognized is not even part of the problem we're looking at to solve, right? But if there is a way that we can add something that is going to help Stella get recognized at her job and get promoted, we're going to add it. And guess what? In designing this product, what we ended up doing is that at the end of every month, right, we sent Stella or people like Stella a report that details one, their customer satisfaction rates, two, the time that has been or the average time of delivery of drugs, so that Stella can see that, okay, if last year or if last month the average time of delivery of drugs was like 2 hours, this month it has become 1.5 hours, so they've saved their customers 30 minutes. So with this report, Stella can really literally take that report to her employer and say, I've been having a great month this month. See, my customers are satisfied at 5 point something percent. So you get that kind of thing. So that report was not part of the product that we're selling, but because we want to give Stella, something that is going to help her get ahead at her job, we always add that report. Do you understand? So this is part of why it's important to understand the goals of the person that you are designing for. Then you need to understand their frustration as well, right? So part of the frustration is inflation and unstable drug prices, right? So when we spoke to a lot of pharmacy benefits or health maintenance organization, we found out that, in fact, it wasn't even something that was within, our theories, right? It wasn't something that was within our assumptions. We didn't, think of that, going in the problem that we wanted to solve. But they always talked about, the fact that when they sold an insurance to a customer at a certain amount, by the end of the year, that amount would have been too small to provide any, sort of coverage, because drug prices have gone up, service prices has gone up, price of everything has gone up, right? So it's a problem for them. And because it's a problem for them, we need to find a way, if possible, for our product to address those problems, right? Or even create a brand new product that addresses those problems, right? So it's a way of understanding our customer more, because we need to keep innovating. So even if we have a product that is already in the market, but we need to keep innovating on that product, keep improving that product, and keep trying to come up with new products, right, that is going to serve the same customers, right? Then another of their frustration is poor communication and feedback, right? So they found out that, or they have this experience that whenever they are working with, third-party administrations like ourselves, they find that poor communication being an issue. So, for instance, if they sent out a request for drug fulfillment, and we are unable to fulfill it, instead of reporting to them to say that we're unable to fulfill it, we just keep looking. So what we now decided to do is that we are going to show them a live report, right? So that they can always look and see where the product is or where we are, in the process of fulfilling their order, right? So they always have information. This is part of, the things that we could not have found out if we didn't do the research, if we didn't do the interviews and understood our users. Then we also found out that part of their frustration was that we're anxious about dissatisfied customers, right? So basically, we need to find a way to allay those concerns, understand if their users are dissatisfied, and find out how we can, basically make it a win-win for everybody involved. So this is a summary. This is what we call a user story. A user story. I know we talk about it in the next year. So a user story, right? This is our user story. So Stella's job revolves around constantly making decisions on which agent to use in supplying drugs to enrollees. She values constant feedback on the success or failure of her orders or price deals. The sooner she knows, the sooner she can make alternative plans so that her customer gets the best experience while saving costs. That's the user story. So now, user story. So user story is a fictional one-line or one-sentence story. Ours has multiple sentences, but the idea is that it has to be short, right? Told from the persona's point of view to inspire and inform design decisions. Of course, apart from inspiring and design decisions, it can also help you, bring other people on board. If you have other people that want to work on the same problem, if you share the user story with them, they will understand where the user is coming from and how they can, help the user, get to their goal. So you can use your imagination, of course, from the research that you've done to create the user story that capture the need of your users. So this is basically what the system looks like, right? As a type of user, that is who the user is, I want to, what the user wants to do, so that's why the user wants to do that, right? So if you look at this thing we have, so we talk about Stella's job. So I could easily have said as a pharmacy benefits manager, right? But because a lot of people don't know what pharmacy benefit manager is, I have to explain that pharmacy benefit manager is revolving around constant making decisions and right? So I want to what? So what does she want to do? So she wants to have constant feedback and success and failure, blah, 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 because and why would that benefit her? Because the sooner she can make alternative plans, or the sooner she knows, the sooner she can make alternative plans that her customer gets the best experience while saving costs. You can see that my own is a bit more complex because the problem I'm working on is a bit more complex, right? And is more like a specialized problem, if you understand what I mean. So, but I try to break it down in a way that, even people that are not specialized can also understand it. That's why it looks like it's a long user story. But your user story doesn't have to be that complicated. It doesn't have to be that long. But this is basically the things that enters a user story. Who is involved? Like what type of user are they, right? Is it, are they like multi-millionaires living in Banana Island? Are they poor people living in Makoko? That is the type of user they are. Of course, it has to be related to the problem that you're trying to solve. Then what is it that they want to achieve? So as a fisherman living in Makoko, I want to have, a constant source of lighting so that my child can learn, can be able to read at night so that they pass exam, right? So that is the type of user, what they want to achieve and why that is important to them. So I've given another example here. As a mother of two, I want to limit the amount of access to my home so that I can keep my family safe. That's, that's user stories. Now, after that, you have to create a user journey map, right? A user journey map is an illustration of what the user goes through in life in order to solve the problem that they're trying to solve, right? So what the user goes through, the processes that they pass through in order to solve the problem that they want to solve, right? So in order to craft the user story, user journey map, okay, I think, yeah, sorry, this is still about. So user journey maps helps designers to create an obstacle-free path for users. In fact, it helps them understand the path, because if you understand the path, then you know where the obstacles are and you know where you can remove obstacles for users in order to solve their problems, right? So a user journey map also reduces the impact of designer bias, because if you are not living in Makoko, you don't know what it's like for somebody living in Makoko. And after you've interviewed the user, you now create a user journey map based on the interview that you did, right? And then it helps you make it not about yourself, who is trying to, create a green light solution. Because for the person living in Makoko, the fact that your own idea of solar power is green energy, they don't give a care, if it's green energy or not green energy. They just want something for their children to use to learn in school. So your goals are not their goals. The user journey map now makes it more about your users' goals than it is about your goals. So maybe you started your company in order to save the planet, or make more green energy available. But for your user, what's a constant, or what your solution is a constant source of energy for their children to read. That is what their concern is. They don't care about your oceans or about the fishes that are dying in the sea, or that the desertification. They don't care about all of those things. So you have to do the user journey based on, or map the user's journey based on what they care about, and that will come from the interviews that you've done, right? So the user journey map lets you also thoroughly document the entire sequence of events and the interactions the user experiences, including the user's interaction with your design, right? Or, with your design, that's when you have a design, or if you have a design. But since you don't have a design at the moment, what you're trying to map out is the user's path through solving the problem that they are solving as they're doing it today, right? Then it also highlights new pain points, because sometimes if you've not done a user journey map, there are some pain points you may not realize until you try to imagine how a user goes through their day. I'll give you an example. So for instance, now, somebody living in Makoko, right now they don't have solar power. You are trying to give them solar power, right? But they don't have solar power, or you're trying to give them electricity. They don't have electricity at the moment. So what are they using? At this moment, they are using lanterns, right? So you think about their user journey. So John, comes back from work, maybe let's say around 6 p.m. And from 6 p.m., he needs to start planning on how his child is going to read, right? Because his child is going to probably have to study late in the night. So he needs to start planning for that right at 6 p.m. So at 6 p.m., he has to go and buy kerosene for the lantern that they have at home, right? So when he buys kerosene from the lantern, from the shop, in fact, even you can see I'm imagining it right now, like even at the time he wants to buy kerosene, he has to go and queue at the filling station. We know filling station now, the queues are really ridiculous, right? So he has to queue at the filling station, pay money, carry jerry can, and then, bring the jerry can back home. And when he brings the can back home, he has to pour the kerosene into the lantern and seal it really well. And then closer to the night, around when it starts to get dark, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, they'll plug the lantern on. And then, lantern releases some kind of smoke. It's really not nice. And then it suffocates everybody, and everybody is coughing, and developing all those, side effects of having kerosene lamps. And at the end of the day, anyway, the child still gets to study, but in very dim light, because kerosene lamp light is not really all that great. But the child gets to study anyway. Maybe eventually the child may still develop some eye problem, but that's secondary. But the user journey map helps you picture all of this, so that in your solution, you are going to find ways to remove all those obstacles. So now maybe your solution is going to remove do you want a solution that removes the queue from the filling station? Do you want a solution that removes the process of bringing it back all the way to this? So maybe instead of him going to the filling station to buy kerosene, you deliver it to him at home. Is that what you want to do? Do you want, for instance, a solution that removes the idea of even putting kerosene in the first place, and now it doesn't need kerosene, it's just a lamp from solar, for instance? Is that what you produce? And then another side, you want to create some kind of magical kerosene that doesn't give out smoke and shines brightly. So by plotting that user journey map, you are able to see the points of possible intervention that is going to improve things for your user. That's the idea of having a user journey map, right? It helps the user identify opportunities for improvements. So in order to do user mapping, so you need to first identify the first task the user needs to complete. Then okay, I think I doubled this. Then you have to, the next action in user journey mapping is to describe all the smaller things that the user must accomplish before graduating to the next main task. Then the third action is mapping a user's journey. Mapping a user's journey is to identify the user's likely emotions as they go from task to task, identify opportunities to improve their experience. So this is the user journey map that we made for Stella. If you remember who Stella is, this is the user journey we made for her. So the actions that she has to do, right? So first, she has to sign on a new enrollee into their platform, right? Then when that enrollee gets sick and needs drug, she needs to find a nearby pharmacy for that enrollee. Then she needs to negotiate prices, for that fulfillment of drugs, and then she needs to close the loop, for all of that, basically making sure that, the enrollee gets the drugs and all of that. Now, these are the small tasks that, are involved in signing on a new enrollee. So in signing on a new enrollee, she needs to determine the price of coverage, for that enrollee, determine or gets payment, find a way to get payment, right? So you can see that, we set out to try to find a way to solve a problem. Now we're seeing that it's possible that they even have a way to, can even provide a payment platform that makes it easy for them to get payment, or discover costs of medication, help them find, make it easy for them to find costs of medication. So in breaking down this action into smaller points of things she has to do, we open up different opportunities in ways we can intervene or in ways we can improve this user's life. So now we are not a fintech company, so we will not be able to solve the problem of getting payments, but we can help them find, ways to discover costs immediately, because instead of going from website to website or making multiple phone calls to different pharmacies in order to find their different costs, we can provide them a platform where they can see all the costs from all the pharmacies at the time. That's the solution we can provide, to the industry. Now, the next action is that he really gets sick and needs drugs, right? So Stella contacts their doctor, and then contacts the enrollee, and then gets the enrollee's location and relevant data, right? Now, is there any way we can help improve this? Is there any way we can help, for instance, remove the need, for Stella to even contact the enrollee? Well, guess what? We created a product, because these are mostly chronic enrollees, right? We created a product that is even going to, make it such that Stella doesn't have to get the email in the first place. Stella doesn't have to get a call from the enrollee, because the enrollee doesn't get sick, right? So there is a product right now that we have, Meditrina, the idea behind the product is to cure, quote unquote, diabetes, right? So diabetes is a chronic disease. It really doesn't have a cure, but what we've done is to find a way to reduce occurrence so much that it's almost as if the person no longer has diabetes. And we are able to do that using dietary experts and immunology experts in diabetes field, who kind of have multiple sessions with our users that are involved, and removes the necessity for them to continue taking their diabetes drugs. So that means that if they don't get diabetes, they don't get any attacks, let me put it that way. If they don't get sick at any point, they will no longer be able to, they will no longer need to be calling our user, for basically this part of the problem of you really get sick is removed, right? I'm just trying to show you how understanding the user can help you open up new opportunities, right, for new products or new ways to solve a user's problem. Now, there's also getting the enrollee's location and relevant data. Is it possible that we can find a way to help the pharmacists get the enrollee's location, very easily? Is it possible that we can make it such that they don't even need to do this in the first place? So this is just as I said, if you understand the problem and understand the user, the seed to the solution is right in there. Then you need to, then she goes ahead to find pharmacies that are nearby to the user. So the task list that she needs to do is, one, she locates the pharmacy near to the user and discovers availability of drugs. Again, are there ways that we can solve this for her so that, to make this process either faster or remove the necessity for her altogether? Then she negotiates prices, right? And negotiating prices is a very tough process, right? It's hard to negotiate prices. And then it's hard to make it what you do for the whole day, right? So one is that she discovers the price of the drugs. And then, of course, she's going to call multiple pharmacies and to confirm that the price makes sense. And then she negotiates prices and then finds alternative source if the price is unaffordable. Of course, that might mean that if the pharmacy that is closer to the patient is not giving the price that she wants, she may have to now go to a pharmacy that is farther from the patient, increasing the cost of delivery of those drugs. You understand, what is involved. So are there ways to solve her problem, from this point? So the point is that the user journey maps opens up the whole process so that you can see which points that you can solve in order to improve life for the user. Even if you don't solve it completely, you can improve the process for them. Then she closes loop, that she confirms that the customer has received the correct medication. Now, after that, the task list, you now talk of the feeling that she experiences in each of these steps of trying to get her thing done, right? So in the area of signing in a new enrollee, the feeling is she feels hopeful that this enrollee may, agree or not. She feels uncertain that enrollee may or may not agree. Then there is that anxiety as well in terms of if I give this enrollee a price now, what if there is inflation in the sense, after that, and then I'm not able to fulfill my obligation to this enrollee? That creates anxiety for them. Right, and then here in enrollee gets sick and needs drug, the feeling for them is overwhelmed and anxious, right? So they are overwhelmed because they have a lot of calls, hundreds of calls coming in every day, hundreds of emails coming into them every day, and then they have to answer all of those emails, answer to all of those calls, right? So the feeling is overwhelming, There is a lesson that we're going to learn in the next half of this course. Is called emotional design, right? So the emotional design is mostly around these feeling parts. And when you're designing for emotion, it makes your customer more, or users more emotionally attached to your product. And believe me, if a user is emotionally attached to your product, they are going to use your product. They are going to choose your product all the time, ahead of other products in the market, because now they are no longer just attached to you on a business level. They are attached to you on an emotional level. So if you understand the emotions that the user is feeling at every point while they are using your product, you are able to design products that will attend to those emotions and make your product a more enjoyable and emotionally intelligent product, basically. So again, you have to fill out these emotional parts of what your users are feeling at every point of them trying to solve the problem. Let me see, can I use this pointer? Sorry. Okay, is it annotation, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, if I have it, okay. So here, the emotion behind finding nearby pharmacy is stress. Stress because they have to always call the pharmacy, to confirm that they have the drugs. Of course, they have the anxiety that they may not find it, and the customer at that time is already in need of the drug, and uncertainty that they may never find, right? So the thing is that we try to also make our products either allay these anxieties or even solve them altogether. Then for negotiating prices, of course, stressed, anxious, uncertain, frustrated, and for closing loop, anxious, relieved that the loop has been closed, or frustrated that they are not getting feedback and the loops are not closed. How do I cancel this? Cancel. All right. Okay. Now, the next thing that you're going to think about is improvement opportunities, right? So now that you've seen the task lists, how they are feeling, now you're going to think of opportunities for improvement, right? So the improvement opportunities could be on improving the task that they need to do to make the task easier, or it could be to empathize with the feeling that they are having at that moment, right? So if somebody, for instance, is feeling frustrated, if there is something that you could do to make them feel less frustrated, even though you've not solved the problem, right? You can consider doing that. So for instance, I'll give you an example. So there is a company that, sorry, Anibias, am I talking to myself? Am I audible? Hello? Where is my co-pilot? Anibias, am I audible? Okay, Mayowa, you want to ask a question? Go ahead. Mayowa, you can talk now.
Audible.
All right, thank you very much. Where did Anibiet go? Anibiet, I can't hear you now. All right, my co-pilot is no longer piloting. All right, so you can. So these are opportunities for. Okay, Anibiet, you can unmute yourself now. Why are you muted? Panelists, sorry, hosts, everyone. Okay, everyone can chat now. All right. Right. So improvement opportunities, as I said, can either be on improving the process or you can be on improving the emotion. So I was citing an example of a product where I don't know if you know how the insurance system in the US works. So they have this app that helps people fill out their insurance in the US, right? It's an app, right? And what a part of the process of filling out that insurance is them answering the question of whether they are single or they are married. Yes. Because in the US, apparently, if you're single or if you're married, I think is either the taxing or the insurance is cheaper for you, right? Than if you're single. So that's why they asked that question. So this product, in this particular product, right? The woman was talking about her experience using that product. Is a user talking about her experience using that product. So she said that when she clicked the button that she is not married, that she is single, right? The app was able to tell that the last time she felt that she was married, right? So he went ahead to now ask her what are the circumstances around her being single, and then she selected that her partner had passed away the last year. So when she selected that, the next page of the app was basically a condolence message. Now, imagine what would have been going through a designer's mind to create that flow where when someone answers a question that they had lost their partner, they get a consolatory message. So the woman said that when she read that consolatory message, that she was so touched and she feels that whoever designed that is a really good person. Now, imagine, if this product had a competition in the market, do you think this woman would ever leave that product? I mean, I don't think so, because the fact that this didn't solve her problem in any way, but it kind of validated an emotion that she had, and it's empathized with that emotion. so that it met the user on an emotional level, even if the problem was not solved for her. So that's a importance of thinking about the feeling a user must be having at every step of solving a problem, and trying to find a way to improve on that feeling. Even if you're not improving on the task, you can improve on the feeling. So these are the improvement opportunities we saw at every level. So even if we are not going to do all of them, we can choose the ones that we can do. You may not be able to solve all the problems, but you should be able to identify opportunities, even if you're not going to follow up on all those opportunities, but identify all those opportunities. And if possible, of course, try to, act on each and every of those opportunities. So consider accessibility. It is at this point that is important for you to consider accessibility. I talk about accessibility, and some people will think that, accessibility is about making a product accessible to people that are that have a disability, right? But of course, nothing can be further from the truth. So accessibility is not only important when people have a disability, one disability or the other. Why? Because at any point, all of us have been disabled. At some point in our lives, we all have been disabled. If you think about it, right? So people who cannot touch, right? Who have maybe who are amputees, right? They've lost the ability to touch. If you design a product that caters to them, right, you would have also solved the problem for somebody who has a temporary reason why they cannot use their hand. Maybe they have a hand injury. Maybe they've been in an accident, but in 2 months, they are going to be able to use their hand, but temporarily they're unable to use their hand. And then you would also have solved the problem for somebody who has a situational disability. Situational disability meaning that they are not disabled though, but because they are doing something at the moment, they will not be able to use their hand. In this case, is a new parent that is holding their child on the hand, so they will not be able to use their hand. Now, imagine that your product designed a speaking or speak feature that allows users to speak in order to get things done, right? And you did that in order to solve a problem for somebody who has a disability that will not allow them to use their phone or touch their phone. Because you solved that problem for somebody who has a disability, you would have automatically solved the problem for somebody who has a temporary disability and a situational disability. The same thing for sight, right? If you make your product, there are products where that speaks to you, right? And then it uses voice command, and then it speaks the screen. You can speak the screen if you have an iPhone, and I think iPhones have that capacity to speak a particular screen to you, right? Now that thing was designed primarily for people who have a disability in sight, but there are also situational disability. Like if maybe you've had an eye operation, and then there is something that they put in your eye, and why that drug is still active, you will not be able to see properly. So you are situationally or temporarily blind. Then there is also situational blindness, right? Where let's say you're driving. Because you're driving, you can no longer focus on your phone. You have to focus on the road. So it's easier for you for your phone to speak to you, so that you're not distracted by looking at your phone screen. So in solving the problem for somebody who cannot see, you've automatically solved the problem for somebody who has a situational disability, because they cannot, look at the road. So now we're in the define side of the thing. Now you've understood the problem, you've empathized with the user, you've used tools of empathy to understand the user. Now we are in the define stage, right? So defining is essentially on defining the problem, right? Defining the problem. What exactly is the problem? So the problem statements provide a clear description of the user's need that should be addressed, right? So you've picked out, you've understood the user, you've understood everything. So now you've selected a particular pinpoint that you want to work on. Because you don't want to work on everything at the same time, you've selected the particular part of the user journey, the particular part of the user's frustration that you want to help solve, because you may not be able to solve everything. So you may not be able to help John buy kerosene, right? But you may be able to help John see lights in his house. So you selected that part of the problem to solve. So now your task is to define that problem that you want to solve, and understanding, the user's need and how you want to address that need. That's the definition of the problem. So in order to help you build a good problem statement, there is a framework for that. The framework is called the 5 W's and 1 H framework. So you have to talk about who is experiencing the problem, what is the pain points that you're trying to solve, where is the user when they are using the product, when does the problem occur, why is the problem important, how are the users reaching their goals by using the product. So this is an example of a problem statement. So you have to start by defining who the user is. So this is who the user is, not necessarily the user's name. Okay, you can use a random username like Sarah is a user's characteristic, that the characteristic that make them important in this particular problem that you want to solve. Who needs, what the user needs, because how, meeting that need is going to improve the user's situation. So then there is a hypothesis statement, right? Then there is a hypothesis statement. So now that we've spent a lot of time trying to learn about the user we're designing for, now it's time to start to try to come up with solutions for them, right? We've understood the problem enough. We've empathized with the problem. We've selected the particular part of the user's journey that we want to solve the problem for. Now it's time for us to start trying to, bring up hypotheses on how to solve the problem, to start talking about solutions. We've talked about problems enough. We've understood problems enough. We've seen the particular part of the problem we want to solve, the particular part of the user's journey that we want to solve the problem in. Now, let's start to talk about solutions, right? So a hypothesis statement is what you think a solution to a design problem might be. What you think the solution might be. So now you know the challenges the users are facing. Now it's time to start to try to alleviate that problem. Know that you've not come up with a solution now. Is now like you are now starting to think of, what if we do this? This might happen. If we do this, that might happen, right? So that's why you're using if and then format. So if we do this for the user, then this will happen. For instance, if we give John light, then John's child will start to write and pass an exam, right? If we give Stella feedback, then Stella will be able to process information better and do whatever she needs to do. If we if we solve this problem, this is how the patient's life is going to improve, right? So you can also use the we believe formats, like we believe that if we do this, this is going to happen. Now, after that, you now talk of the value proposition. So now you've talked of the empathy maps, personas, user story, problem statement. Now you have to bring all of this together in order to create a value proposition. I need you to know that even at this point, you still don't have a solution, but you have a value proposition. Value meaning that you have something that you think a user would value if we propose this solution to them. if we provide a solution to this problem, this is the value that it's going to bring to the user. You don't have a solution yet, but you know that if you solve this problem for them, this is the value that they're going to get when that problem is solved for them. So in order to do this, you have to start by defining the product value proposition. So a value proposition summarizes why a user would use a product or service. So to start, you need to research. Of course, we've done the research. In order to answer these two questions, what does your product do? Again, I need you to separate solutions. Now, you still don't have a solution, but you just know that you want to solve this problem, right? So you want to solve the problem of Stella not getting feedback, right? So whatever product you're going to do is going to give Stella feedback. You don't know how that feedback is going to come. You don't know if it's going to come by mail, if it's going to come by phone, if somebody is going to knock on Stella's door to tell her, you don't know. But what you know is that this is a problem that Stella has that you want to solve. And why Stella would want this problem to be solved. So why should Stella care that this problem is solved, right? So that is how value propositions are thought about. So first, you have to describe the product features and benefits. So create a list of great features and benefits of the product, big and small, right? Then you have to explain the value of the product. So anything that you identify as a value proposition needs to be beneficial to your users. Then you have to connect those features and benefits with the needs of your users. So the goal here is to identify what's truly valuable to the user and what's just a cool feature that the users didn't ask for, right? So remember that when we talked about creating a renewable energy source like a solar power. So solar power, you can tell the user that, oh, if they have this solar power, they'll be helping the planet, they'll be saving the fishes in the sea, they'll be reducing climate change and all of that. But the user does not care about all those things. They are cool features, but the user doesn't care. So you need to separate the cool features from what the user actually cares about. And then you need to review your official value proposition list after you've narrowed down all the features that you can think of to what the user really needs or cares about. Right, so we're done. Now we're going to talk about your course projects, yeah? So in your assignment for your course project, you are going to build a user persona, you're going to build an empathy map, you're going to craft the user story, you're going to draw a user's journey map, then you're going to propose a problem statement, propose a hypothesis statement, and then a value proposition for the problem that you've chosen. So I'll give an example of what a value proposition would look like. Okay, you know what? I'm going to send materials. I'm going to send templates for all of these things, templates, so that it's easier for you. All you have to do is to fill it up with the particular information that you have, right? Just fill it up with the particular information that you have. Note that at this time, you don't have a solution. What you have is the problem you want to solve. You've identified the problem you want to solve, and then what that solution should provide the user, right? So let's say, for instance, now, I want to solve the problem of John's not having lights, or John's child not being able to read at night because there is no lights, right? Now, the value proposition is something that should, or something that should be so easy to use that John will not have to queue up at the filling station. That is a feature. It should be so easy to use that John does not have to queue up in the filling station and waste time. That's also. Then it should be very bright so that John's child is not going to hurt his eyes. That's another feature of the product. Let's go back, please, sorry. All right. Sorry. All right, so it will be able to explain the value for instance, the lamp is going to be bright, or the light is going to be bright. So the light is going to be bright so that John's children don't hurt their eyes. That's a feature of the solution, right? Now, I've not exactly come up with, I can also have another feature that the light is going to be a renewable energy source, right? But still, I've not come up with a solution, right? Because now the solution can be different. The solution can be, okay, hydropower electricity. I can drag power from hydropower plant and fix it inside John's house. That's one way of going about achieving all these features, right? Another way of going about it would be, for instance, providing solar lamps to John, right? If I provide solar lamps to John, the light will be bright. John will not have to go for filling station. So it still has all these features, but it's a different solution, right? I can also think of gas, or using I think there is one that they are talking about now that they use now. Is it something gas, biogas, right? To solve the problem. So there are different ways of, that can have all these features, but they're different solutions. Do you understand? So right now, we're not talking about solutions. We're talking about the features the solutions is going to have. Right. So of course, another feature is going to sustainable, right? John does not care about sustainability. So I don't make it like a value proposition for John. I might make renewable a value proposition for one white person that lives, in California, because they care about that value proposition. But John that is living in Makoko does not care about renewable energy or not renewable. So I'm not going to make it a value proposition for him. I might make a value proposition that is going to be very bright so that it's not going to spoil your child's eye, and it's going to be very easy. You drop it on your house. You don't need to, go and buy fuel to put inside it. That's a value proposition for him, right? So when crafting the value proposition, you have to think about your user and think about the things that your user cares about, right? Not value propositions that they don't care about. And the way you know what they care about is from your interview with them, from your conversation with them, you know the things that they care about. So that is it, right? For this half of the class, are you guys still there? Does anyone have any questions? Sorry. Does anyone have any questions? Can show hands. Okay. All right, Adenika, you can talk now.
All right, good morning, sir. And good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, sir, for the insightful class. So my question is actually focused on the empathy map.
Okay.
For example, we are about 4 in my group.
Okay.
And concerning the problem we are working on, does that imply that each and every one of us, we are going to come up with an empathy map separately?
No.
Then
no.
have an aggregate empathy map.
Is an aggregate empathy map. So you guys have worked on you've talked to different people, but you find that there is a common problem they have, and there is a common characteristic that they have. So you're going to have that aggregate, make an aggregate person. You can name that person Joseph, right? But Joseph has the problem that everyone has. A problem that every one of the people that you've talked to can relate to. So Joseph becomes the persona of the problem that you're trying to solve. It becomes the persona of your user group. If you talk to market women, I can give you a persona of a woman that is selling things at Balogun markets, right? So, this woman is a woman because she does not do a lot of, she comes to work every morning, and, I can imagine that she doesn't do a lot of exercise. I don't know, like, depending on the product I want to sell them, if I want to sell them like a workout product, I can imagine that she does not do a lot of exercise. So she has weight, right? And if you check in that Balogun market now, you see that a lot of people fit into this category. You understand? So it may not be a problem every of your user has, but it will be a problem most of them have for you to make it a problem, like generalize that is a problem that do you get what I'm trying to say? So you have to pick up characteristics that most of your users can relate to, and then you make it a characteristic of that user persona. Do you understand? So for instance, if to start with self, that user persona will have to be somebody from the user group that you are solving for, right? So if you are trying to build a product for pregnant people, then it makes sense that your persona is a woman, right? Because men don't get pregnant, right? So it makes sense that your user is a woman, okay? Then it makes sense that your user is not 60 years old. Your user should be within the age of people who can get pregnant, right? So you put this within that range. And being in that range means something. Because the way a 60-year-old person thinks is not the way a 25-year-old person thinks. So because a 60-year-old person doesn't get pregnant and is not within your user group, so your user group, your persona is a 25-year-old woman. And being 25 means something. It means that there's a kind of program they watch. It means that a kind of applications that they have access to. It means that there's a kind of they can use WhatsApp, they can use Twitter, they can use Facebook. So the way you market to them is going to be different from the way you are going to market to someone that is 60, right? So that is why personas are important, because they kind of if you're able to triangulate on that persona, there are many things that building a persona can do for you, even apart from designing solutions for them. Having that persona can help you design marketing campaigns for your products when you're done designing it. Do you understand? So it helps you understand who your user is, how do your user thinks, things that they have access to, the way their worldview is. They're probably Gen Z, so do you understand?
All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other question? Okay, so no other questions. Let's go to the second half. The second half is going to be shorter. One, because we don't have enough time already, and secondly, because there is a particular thing that we need to learn, right? So let's go on with it. Okay, so I think I need to. This is not the screen I'm sharing. So let me stop sharing. Right. Okay, let me stop sharing. Let me go back to share my other screen, which is so the Figma class. Playground. Okay, so now that you guys have gotten a bit of skills on working with Figma, I'm now going to break your Figma. Sorry, can you still hear me? Anibia, can you hear me? Hello? Hello, Anibia, can you hear me? Can everyone else hear me? All right, everyone else can hear me. So you know what? I'm going to make Peace my right-hand man now. So Peace, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please accept. Yeah, please accept this promotion. And so Peace, can you hear me? Please signify.
Yes,
all right, perfect. All right. So I'm going to share my screen now. All right. Is the screen visible?
yes, it is.
Great. So what we're going to learn okay, since we've all learned a couple of things already about using Figma. So subsequently, I'll be breaking you up into groups, right? So you all are going to have your own file, because now you're going to work on your projects. Like you're going to work on your project. Subsequently, every class you're going to take on the Figma class is going to be directed at working on your solution. Do you understand? So now we're no longer learning how to draw circle, how to draw a box. Everything you're going to be doing now from today is going to be targeted towards adding a brick to solving your problem. So because of that, I'm going to break you guys up into different groups. So it's no longer going to be a general, we're not going to have that general class file where everybody has their group in. Every group is going to have their file, and they're going to name it their group name. We're going to still talk about that later after the class. And it is inside that file that you are going to have everything about your project and whatever solutions you're going to have. If you're building an app for it, if you're building a website for it, all those solutions is going to be within that's your project file from today. Right, but today what we're going to learn is we're going to apply that thing that we've learned. We're going to apply the skills that we've learned on Figma already into illustration, right? Illustration on Figma. We're going to learn how to illustrate on Figma. So I'm going to first let's say upload pictures so that so when you're illustrating, we first find the source picture that you want to illustrate from. People typically don't illustrate from their head. I don't have a degree in art, so I don't have somebody has been working. I don't have a degree in art, so I cannot draw people from my head. So how illustration typically works is that you find an object or the person or source, source object that you want to illustrate from, and then you start illustrating. You start tracing it basically. So let me show you how that works. So this is the persona, or this is the person I want to use for my persona, right? First, I take this picture, I go to here and to the property panel, and then I'm going to, sorry, not the property panel now. I'm going to go to, sorry, the what is this thing called again? The transparency. I'm going to put it at 50%. 50% looks good. Let's see what 40% looks like. Okay. I'm going to put it at 40% because I want to be seeing the background while I'm working, right? Next, I'm going to take my pen tool. I'm going to take my pen tool. You remember we talked about pen tool the last time. And then I'm going to start tracing. Now, the way pen tool works is when you click, okay, let me first show you how pen tool works. Of course, you still need to study this on your own, on your own personal time exploring, right? So when you click and, it forms a line, and you click again, it forms another line, and it keeps following you like that. This is how the pen tool works. Click, 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 right? This is how the pen tool works. And when I join it, I can now form a new thing. And then I have to escape, and then this becomes a shape, and then I can start again. I think the shortcut to pen tool is using P, right? So if you press P on your tablet, on your phone, sorry, not your phone, your keyboard, it becomes a pen tool, right? So we've done the click one. Now there's a click and drag. If I click and I don't release it and I drag, right? This thing is not a line. It's like a handle for something that will now become a curve, right? So if I put this handle here and release it, this thing becomes a curve, right? And then I can decide to click and drag again. You understand? And click and drag again. So you see the difference between making a curve and making, you know, a line. If you only click, it becomes a line. If you click and drag, it becomes a curve. Like this was click and dragged, this was click and drag, this was click and dragged, and this was just click, and that's why it's a line. So that's how the pen tool works. Now bringing it to here, because I want this to be, this one from here to here to be like a line, I'm going to click and click, because it's almost a line anyway, right? And then because I want this one to be a curve, I'm going to, when I click this one, I will not release it, I'll drag it. So I click now, I don't release it. Sorry, give me a second. So sorry, click here. And then the next one is going to be click and drag, because I want it to be a curve, right? So I can organize how I want that curve to be. So you see, I'm placing her head where her head is, you know, supposed to be. And that is it. Do you understand the concept now? And I can see my line very well, and I can see her head very well. And that is why, you know, this click and drag, this thing is important. All right, so here I can do click. And then, so like do it roughly first, and then you can now come back and finish up. I think the mistake I made was starting from her head. I should have maybe started from her cloth or something. I can choose like doing this cloth thing, and then the head is going to be, okay, it doesn't matter. Let me just finish the head first, then I can do the rest. All right, so this is me working on the rest. I want to do this click. Sorry, who is chatting in the group? Oh, okay. Right. Here I'm going to, because I want to put the hair at the back, I'm going to overshoot a bit, and later you'll understand why I made that decision. And because all these things, the hair generally is going to be at the back, right? So I'm just going to just continue it like this. Later, again, you see why I made this decision, because I should have started with the dress, but since I started with the hair, eventually you see why I made the decision. So this one is going to be click and drag, because it's a this thing, and then this one will be click and drag, because I also want it to be, okay, let me just leave that click and drag. And then this one is going to be click, right? So we've closed this loop. Now, the next thing we're going to do is now start to arrange these things to make it fit where we want it to fit, right? So for that, I'm going to choose the move to, let's start with here. This one is just looking weird. So I click on it and these handles come up, right? So these handles will help me, you know, arrange this thing a bit more. So I just arrange it like this. So this one has been arranged, right? And then this one, I can also arrange it. And then this one, I also arrange it. I can choose to actually not, because you see, whenever I move this handle, this one also moves with it. Let me try to stop that from happening by removing the mirror. So mirror angle, no mirroring. See how that works. So now I can do this alone without this one mirroring. You can see that. Now this one, I can also click it and, yep. So, okay, I've done these parts. Of course, it doesn't have to be like accurate. You see why, because of the kind of illustration that we're trying to do. The idea here is not to make it like a one-on-one look, just like an illustration. So I think we've done with what we're going to call the hair. Oh, I made a mistake. I didn't release. And because of that, this is going to, start to be. So, so I'm going to maybe color her hair because her hair was looking a bit reddish. Let's say, let's just say black. Let's just color it black. So it's going to be a fill. It's not even a line. It's a fill. We're going to color black. Yes, we can actually remove the stroke. There's no need for the stroke, right? So that one is on the side, but let me put this at the back. Send to back is still going to disturb me. Anyway, send to back. Let me just reduce the opacity of this one. It's not the one I should have done first. It's my fault. I should have done the shirt first because it's more front. It's more something that should be on the front. The hair should be at the back, and you very soon you'll understand why. Let me make this 10%. I'll still come back to it. Now, to the other one, let's do what we should have done. So let's start with her clothes, because her clothes is kind of the thing that will be like, if remember we talked about the placement of the layers, right? So the clothes will be the furthermost, that the layer that will be in front the most. Then the layer that should be at the back the most is her hair. Then the layer that should be in the middle is her body, right? Of course, the more you work, the more you understand why, I've made these decisions. So let's go back. So let's do her clothes now. So here I want, okay, maybe I'll make this a line and then make this a curve, right? So here to here, I'll make it a line, and then here to here, I'll make this a curve, right? I'll make this a curve, okay. Okay. So that's a curve. Nice. Now, this one is also okay, because her hand is like this. I might actually make her hand a different thing. So let me complete this curve I want to make here to join her clothes and her shoulder. Let me complete that curve first, then I'll come back to the rest. Then this one is going to be that's her shoulder, and it's going to look something. Okay, no voila, I'll come back to it. Then this is going to be, because her hand is going to be above here, so I'll just put this here. I'll make it a line, and then we'll make this a curve. I'll make this a curve. Nice. And then this, our second hand, is also in the way. Should I? Okay. All right. Let me just connect it like this and like this. So I'm done here. Now I'm going to start, fixing this up. Yeah. Let me start fixing this up. So this one now looks a bit weird. So I'm going to separate this from this. I'm going to make this no mirroring. Remove the mirroring so that I can just work on this one. Okay, so I've made it fit more on her shoulder. I will do the same thing for here. Click on this, make it no mirroring so that I can work on just this part of it, right? Right, so this is almost fixed, and then this should be perfect. Now with this, I'm just going to because this hand is covering it, this part really doesn't matter. So I'm just going to do it like that. And then this one, I want to bring this part inside, just because the hand is still going to cover it. Okay, so it's messing up with this part. So I'm just going to make this no mirroring again. No mirroring, so that I can drag the side in, right? Right. So this is the torso. Just consider it the torso. So let me fill it up, and then, you know, maybe, I don't know, paint it black again. Sorry, or whatever color I want to use for it. And then let me take it to the back. Let me take it to set move send to back. Sorry. Okay, it's already at the back. Oh, it's already at the back because it's too. I need to reduce this. I need to reduce this thing about. Let's make it 20. Okay, it's already at the back, right? So so now we draw this hand, because this hand is going to cover the torso, and then we draw this other hand. Okay, so let's start with this hand. So the same pen tool, or just P. Now I start. Do I want to make this straight? Yeah, let me make it straight. Is easy. Okay, let me at least make it, even if I'm going to make it straight, let me make it two steps, and then the next one, this next one is going to be a curve, right? So it's click and drag into a curve. Okay, that's it. And then here I'm also going to, should I click and drag? Doesn't matter, Sha. Then let me click and drag this one. Click and drag. Okay. Then this one, click, and this one, click, and then this one, join. And then I escape again. Sorry, not escape. I use my list to move to complete this, and I'll convert this to a curve. I'll convert this to a curve so that I can. Okay, I want it to be no mirror. Convert this to a curve. Then this part, I don't want it to mirror. I'm doing the wrong thing. I should use the move to select this head and then do no mirroring. Okay, it's no mirroring. Exactly, just like that. This one also no mirroring. I'll move it that way. So then this one is how I like it. Now this one, I can do it that way, and then do this one. This one wants to mirror. So I just click this and then make it no mirroring, so that I can squeeze it like this. Now it's looking more like a hand. Okay, these parts are okay. This part, perfect, and this part, perfect. Of course, again, it doesn't have to be perfect. So if you notice, this hand now is on top, yeah? So we're going to fill it. We can fill it with black. Doesn't matter. I'm removing the stroke. I don't need to have a stroke. Because it's not going to disturb me from anything, I'm going to leave it there for now, until I start doing the body. Now this one starts again with the pen 2P, and then okay, and then drag here into this, and then this one is literally joining itself. and then drag a bit. Nice. And then click here, and then, okay, drag a bit. The more you do this thing, the more you get used to it. It's a bit weird at first when you're using it, but when you do it, when you practice often, it becomes very easy. Now I'm going to switch to my move tool, and then I'm going to click here, select is not no mirroring, and then I'll complete this part. This one selected, say mirror angle, I'll put no mirroring, and then I'll complete this part as well. And then this point, I'll move it a bit because, yeah, and this one, no mirroring. Now I think this is not bad. Okay. Now this part of the sleeve, I'll make it that way. Perfect. And this one is, I want it to be no mirroring. I'm going to drag it down a bit. Right, so I think I'm done with this shape here. Again, it doesn't need to be perfect. We're not trying to, you know, draw something that is indistinguishable from the human. So I'm going to paint this black again. So now we have the torso, we have the two sleeves. So now we have to start drawing the body. And the body, I personally don't want to go into all of the facial features. I'm just going to make something that looks maybe a face, a neck, you know, chest area. Then if maybe I feel like it, and I can now start going maybe the lips, and then the nose, and then the eyes, you know, the eyebrow. Okay, yeah, maybe let's just do it that way. So you can see where the hair is. So let us draw the face. Let us draw the face. So now again, I pick up my pencil again. I go in the part of the face I want to draw. So I want to make it a sort of a curve. So I'm going to click and drag at first. Okay, that was a mistake. So I'm going to click here and then drag, right? So that makes more sense. And then this one would literally drag itself. Yep. Okay. I'm going to also, nice, it's dragging itself. Then I'm going to also dragging itself. Then I'm dragging here again. Okay. Then I'm clicking and dragging again. Okay. Again, the more you do this, the more you get used to it. It's a bit weird to control, but when you get the hang of it, it becomes much easier. Right, as I've done this one, I'm going to change to the move tool. I just press V, it changes to the move tool. Then I click here, it says no mirroring. I agree. Okay, when I click here, mirror angle. I don't want any mirroring. I change it to no mirroring, and then I continue here. As you can see, this one I'm drawing the face. I'll still now draw the neck and the ear because I want to put the neck and the ear in the same spot and the face in a different spot. Maybe I'll paint the face differently and the neck differently because they are almost on different planes. Yeah. Then these just correct things. Right? I'm just correcting. So I'm done with this. I'm going to leave it like this. Of course, that's not what the face color is going to be, but just to kind of show me where it is, and then I'm going to move it to the back. Press escape and then move this to the back. Move send to back. All right. Next, I'm going to handle the neck area, the neck and the chest area. So I'm going to my pencil again, P, and then I'm going to start from here. Eventually, again, it will all come together. So I'm just going to roughly do this like this. Okay, I think this makes sense. It's like this, and then this one is going to be a little curve. Okay, and then This one will be straight, and then this one will be a little curve. Nice. And then I'm going to make some adjustments because the shirt is already covered here. I don't need to be so, strict with the other one. I can just do it like this, do it like that. But I'll have to come back here because this one is no longer covering it. And then I'm going to drag here to the neck. And then, okay, it's the face and neck I'm doing, right? So this is the neck still, and then click here, and then join it with this one. All right, like when it all comes together, you see the meaning of all the decisions I made here. So I'm going to fill it again. I'm going to remove the stroke, and then, okay, maybe not yet. Let me finish, make it fine a bit more. So V for move to here. I'm going to know I don't want any mirroring, no mirroring. I just want to, okay, adjust this a bit. Nice. So this has been adjusted. This one also looks a bit weird. So I'm going to adjust this. This one, no mirroring. Nice. I like it that way. And all of this is okay. This I want to, thank you. I want to bring this here, and then this I want, because I want to kind of cover this base. So it's dragging this one along. I don't want it. So let me no mirror, and then move this that way so that I've covered that base now. Okay, so now I can fill it up and then remove the stroke and then send it, sorry, escape, send it to the back. Okay, now I'm going to handle the hands, yeah? I'm going to handle the hands. So the hands, I'm just going to make them very simple shapes. This, I'm going to make sure it goes under the clothes. This is a curve, I make it a curve. The hands, I just want to make them very simple, like nothing so complicated. And then connect. That's all. I'm good with that hand. Then I'm going to fill it. Oh, it didn't connect. It's like it didn't connect. Okay, if it doesn't connect, it will be unable to fill. So making sure it connects. And then, why is it not filling now? Oh, give me a second. Let me figure out what is happening with my hand. Why is it not filling? Why is it not filling? Okay, it's filling actually, just like it's at the back. Interesting. Okay, send to the back. Send to back. All right, then this one, this hand also, I want to make it a very simple shape. Not so complicated. I'm going to start here. I'm going to use curve here because I actually want to represent just a bit of this curve. Nice. And then I'm going to do here, and then here, a bit curvy is okay. And then here, and then I think a bit curve here should be fine. And then here, a bit of a curve here should also be fine because it's still seen. And then I'm going to connect it here, and then I'm going to fill it up, and I'm going to maybe stroke, escape. Okay, I can see. I'll send it back. Great. Okay. So by the time I remove this, you see what I've created. Now, what I want to do is now to arrange these things that I've drawn. So let me make this one darker. Okay, let me make this one the 100%. Okay, make it more 100. Right. So this is the. Well, I kind of want to be able to see this hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color a bit to make it just a bit brighter, just enough to differentiate it from the rest of the clothes. So the same thing as this one, I think I can copy the color here so that the hand is a bit brighter so you can actually just see it. And then since we agreed that this hair is going to be all the way at the back, sending this to the back, and then that the neck is going to be, okay, let's choose the color more appropriately. Let's make this 100% again if we want to see the real color of this lady. What I would do is just to pick a color that's more representative of the face. So let's choose that one. Not too much, she's looking too white. Yes, that's better. Then this color, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this color a bit, and then I'm just going to make it a bit darker by pulling it down here, right? This makes sense. And then the color of the hand, in order to be able to separate it from the rest, I'm going to make it brighter than all three. So I'll pick this one and then make it a bit brighter, right? I think is well positioned, right? The position is okay. Position is okay. Let me remove the stroke. The stroke on this thing. Yeah, and then this one as well. I'm going to just copy and paste the hand. Okay, but this hand here is not all the way at the back. It should be in front of this one. So this in front of this one, but behind this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the hand, select this one, and then move to front, bring to front. It's just like layer management. It's just like managing the layer. Do you understand? So now we have something. Yeah, I think this is something. Now the hair color, maybe we should make it brown. Change it to 100% so you can see it well, and then make it a bit browner. So let's change the hair color a bit. Yeah. So now we have something that looks a bit more like what we figure we're going for. If we want to continue, maybe putting her eyes and all of that, we can make it a bit more transparent again. Let's say 50%, or was it 40% we used the last time? 40%. What time is it? Okay. And then we'll bring it back. I think we should have done this even before taking it away. It's just that just didn't think of it. Just bring it back to where it was before, and then start putting in the eyebrows and all of that. The same pen tool that we used. Nothing different, just yeah, a bit. We're not doing anything different, just the same thing. That done there. Don't forget to escape so that you don't join and P again, so that they are not joined together. I think here is the same thing. Okay. Right, so we've done that. Escape. So of course we color the two, right? They are now two shapes. So let's fill them up. Fill. Remove the stroke. I think here we can use black. And then the eyes, okay, even the eyelids, because the eyelashes, because it gives a certain kind of having the eyelashes to give a certain kind of personality you get to it. So let's draw the eyelashes. Well, I think you make that decision on your own anyway. Like it's an artistic decision that you make once. Um, just choosing to have it. Nothing is compulsory. Nothing. Fill it up. Remove the stroke. Make it black. Now I can do the same for this other eye. Yeah. Okay. Escape so that they are not joined. P again. The same thing here. Here. Curve. That's click and drag. So curve. Think I can still come back to it anyway. Click and drag to make it curve. Click and click. Right, fill it up with the stroke. Make the color black. Okay, escape, escape. P to go back to pen tool. Now I can draw the eye. So I can draw the eye that this way. I think I just want to make it a simple shape so that's when it's not too complicated. Okay, and then this like this, and then that's a simple shape. That's the white of the eye anyway that I've drawn. And then I fill it up and escape so that's I use a pencil again, P, and then the same thing here. Again, the white of the eye. Oh, okay, I made a mistake. I should have just clicked and not click and dragged. Yes. Anyway, whatever mistake we make can always correct it. Now I can use my V, that's the move tool, and then make all the corrections that I need. I don't want this to mirror, so I'll say no mirroring, and then I would edit this. Okay. This one. This side will hide behind this slash anyway, so I'll bring this slash to the front. Yes, and also this slash, I'll bring it to the front. Right. This should be no stroke. Then I think the rest is now I can use an ellipse to to make the black of the eye. So this I can fill this black, right? Take it, put it here. I don't know. You can decide. What you can decide. You still want to continue tracing. I just want to make it simple for myself. You know, it's not like I'm copying. So this bring it to front, and then I don't know. I don't know what works. I mean, okay. Okay. Shall you decide what works for you, right? Like I'm now just rushing it because we don't have time. But essentially, this is it. You know, if you now decide to have your mouth and your nose, you just know how to, you know, go about that. So I've created a persona. So part of your assignment, I'm going to still post that in a group, will be to create a persona, like to create an image that will be your persona. You just go online and, you know, take any image there, anyone that you like. So I out of these two, I just picked this one. Yeah, it could have as well been this one, you know, and then illustrate it. So part of your assignment is going to be to illustrate. I didn't introduce any new tools. The tools that we used are the tools we introduced in the last two classes. So this is just applying those tools, right? Again, it's a practical course. So if you don't practice on your own, that I just cannot teach you everything, you know, you need to know. So some of them you have to, you know, practice on your own and, you know, try to improve on it. So this is illustration. illustration is going to be part of your assignment, apart from your coursework, that's your persona, user story, and all of that. The graphic design part of your coursework is going to be, designing your persona. Choose a picture online, any picture, and then design a persona. I'm going to still formally show you what it's supposed to look like, so that you can do that by yourself. All right. So I think we've come to the end of the class today. We've come to the end of the class today. Sorry, where is my... All right, stop sharing. So someone has a question. You can talk now. Chimobi, you can talk. Hello, Chimobi. Chimobi, you can unmute yourself. But does anyone have any questions anyway? Any questions? All right, it's Ilobe. You can talk now.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the class. My question is, well, maybe it might sound dumb. We're supposed to practice the illustration and then in the long run use it as a persona. Now, are we to do it as a group or as an individual?
You guys have to figure it out, right? But by this time, next class,
okay,
I want to see. I will send you templates. I'll send you templates for that persona user story thing. So you're going to have to fill it up. Everything you guys are doing from now is like group project, right?
No. Like on the illustration part, that's what my question.
Illustration,
yeah.
Everybody, it will be in your interest to practice your illustration, right?
Okay.
But on your group project, I want to see an illustration.
All right.
Your user persona.
Okay.
Of course, it would be nice if everybody practices illustration.
Okay.
Right? But the thing is that everything you're doing now is not going to be focused on getting your group project done. So yes, illustration is a personal thing, but like at this point now, I don't know if you've noticed, almost multiplied, because for everything there is a lot of process. So I'm really not going to be following each and every single person's growth, right? But it would be in your own interests if you practice illustration on your own.
All right.
Practice ahead of the class, and all of that. But what I'm going to be seeing is that in your group project, there is an illustration at the part where it says user persona and user. And all of
that. And for those that will be using more than one persona, it should be beneficial if they have.
Exactly. More than one illustration for more than one,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Okay, then. So I'm going to send in the assignments later today, so that you guys can. And I'm going to update the course resources to include all of those templates that we talked about, so that it's easier for you to just copy and fill in. So I want to make this whole process easy. So what you guys are just going to have to do is to look at the research you've done and use that research you've done to just fill in all the blanks, in the templates thing, and then submit that. So what I'll be seeing is your group work submitted with the templates thingy, and then I hope you guys know how to export images, right? Because your group work is going to now be on Google. Should it be Google what now? I think it's still Google. It's Google Slides, yeah. So it's going to be Google Slides, like your persona thingy, your user journey, all of that is going to be on Google Slides, Google Sheets, Google. Basically, all those we'll figure it out, right? But on the part where there is going to be an image, you are going to copy the image that you designed on your Figma, and they're going to make it into a JPEG or PNG format, and they're going to paste it, where it needs to go. Does this make sense? You're going to export, and if you want to see how to export, if you need any help on how to export images or how to export things that you've designed on Figma as images, you can ask in the group, but it's actually pretty straightforward. There is when you look at that, your properties panel, at the very bottom, there is an export thing there. If you click the export, you see where it says export as, then you see PNG, JPEG, PDF. So you export it as JPEG or PNG, and then you attach it as a picture on the Google form, or not Google form now, Google Slide or Google Sheets, or wherever it needs to go, right? Okay, so we're good. All right, thank you very much for hanging in, and see you in the group.